globals that you just mentioned.
Honestly, I feel like a Gragas angle could be decent here. In terms of things that you saw, Ivo navigating some of the dives, making it a little bit trickier. And obviously in the team fight,
good explosive casts.
Yeah, so in my mind, that kind of makes sense. I think Ivo had a good game on it. Because you know you're going to have a rough match with the camera shot no matter what happens.
We'll see what they want to end up locking in. This could be a set support in that bot side to kind of answer the aggression. Has been something we've seen little whispers of, if you will, across the thing. I know you're not a big fan of it, Ox, because you feel like it just kind of doesn't really give you exactly what you want to get, but that is going to be Renekton here for Ivo. That is a statement to come out.
Because it's a champion that is so dominant in the early stages of the lane, maybe you can't dive it. And again, I do think you've telegraphed quite a lot of, we have a lot of ability to go topside. Even without showing a top laner, I feel like that is a big option for them, powering over a lot of different champions over there. But the set support as well, very much able to have very strong roaming pressure, able to get control of that lane at the level 1, flashing out of that brush and looking for something. However, bit of a pivot from Game4 to saying, look, you're going to have that Renekton, you're going to start pushing through. Yeah, but you're never going to get wave push. It's a Graves.
Yeah, it means you can easily stack waves, look for a dive. I feel like as well, you can also put the pressure down bot lane. The set as well, if you try to dive bot, is a trickier champion to dive. But
yes.
I feel like if you bring enough members from K-Corp, you can just play through the silence. It's kind of similar to what we saw in that previous game. Not as extreme. I think Rise Volibear are just so excellent at the dive in the side lanes. But TF, Jarvan, it's a similar goal in this one.
That's literally it. We talked about the mid jungle and we saw, you know, about 13, 14 minutes into that game, the kill participation between the two of them was absurdly large, and it does feel like this is going to roughly come out to the same thing. I will say, Rise probably a little bit better once he gets ahead than the Twisted Fate. You know, Twisted Fate, of course, will have that 2-item spike, but definitely not easier to kill if you catch him off.
I was going to say, on the kill participation, it wasn't just kill participation, it was 100%. It's actually more about the rest of Game4 having Seiken participation at that point. Everything was conducted around that. The TF, very early into the game, can also make similar plays.
Well, we'll see what they're able to kind of go for, because this is going to be kind of it for Unicorns of Love. This is going to be your last game if you cannot come out with the win. We're going to see now if Game4 can make it a 3-1. So we are going to have a little bit of a nature documentary coming on out here as we check out all the animals. There's so many. You don't even realize it. There's just absolutely loads. Aww. Oh, he's really cute.
No, don't show this.
No!
No! No! No! No! I miss him already.
That was really dark.
That was messed up.
Yeah. that was a lot more intense than I anticipated. I love how he does like a flip. He's just like, I'm gonna go out with style.
Double barrel.
You know what? This is Unicorn's chance to go in style. It's now or never on this one, and K-Corp going for a pretty aggressive push just to get some vision control down, I assume, but not mean any.
That doesn't actually. Observers, can we toggle the vision on that
outside of the brush.
ward? Is that outside of the brush?
Very much outside of the brush.
The red ward, is that outside of the brush? It is outside of the brush. That's a little bit of a misstep.
Yeah, but the more important thing is it has vision off the camp, right? That's the main thing, I'd say.
But remember game 1, because he just took the blast plan around the other side. We'll see if it works out. We'll see if it works.
That's why you need to go to practice tool and practice your ward placement. 1,000 reps.
1,000 rep ward placement at max range as you go for it. But this time around, Cabochard has got the secondary ward going down and saying to himself that he's going to be able to kind of go for it. But Lorax, job's done, will be spotted out. Sorry for wasting all of your times. But good information coming out here now from Game4. They will know this early jungle pathing. They should not be caught out.
And actually, in 2 out of the 3 games, those early wards have led to significant advantages being built up by one of these junglers.
And it's like we said before, this is a heavy ganking jungler for 113, but once you commit the flag and drag, especially into a Viego, very easy for a counter gank to come in if he does show up. So making sure you're making a gank uncontested will be vital.
So we now have the ability to really see what Lewis can do, of course, on that Viego. But, I mean, for me, I really have to see what happens around this top side, because this Renekton was last picked. It was picked basically because it was the remainder of, okay, we have to blind pick top side, and we want something strong enough early game that it can't get dived.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because again, Renekton was seen as like one of the greatest top laners for everybody. It was a permaban for so long in the most previous years. What's changed? Why have we not seen it anymore? Why is it kind of fallen down much further in the priority?
His items got trashed. Yeah. Realistically,
awesome.
Gordon Hysterics was so good for him. He comes into a team fight with those and just absolutely dominates, and now he just doesn't spike nearly as hard.
Well, the junglers are going to find each other. It's going to be blue buff versus red. As 1-1-3, yeah, alley-oop gets himself onto it. As we can see, Seiken trying to maybe make a move. They do have priority in the top side.
So you'll actually notice, of course, that's a Conqueror on the job, and that is meant to be more of a dueling threat. It's not going to be something like that spell, but
50-50.
wants to get that. Thinking it's going to be a flip.
It is going to be a bit of a flip, and it goes over to the side of Lorax. So now you're in a little bit of a precarious situation here as 1-1-3, because you've already used your Demacian Standard. Cabo Shatter is level 3, but Ruby is here as well. Just going to be trying to keep him away. You haven't got the greatest of dueling right now as the Graves, and he's taking a serious chunk. This could just be a solo. Lorax trying to take the game into his own hands. Flash away, flash in, and that's first blood!
Beautiful play coming out from Lorax. The confidence and the sustained damage from the Viego enough to follow through. Cabochard came to help, and it cost his life.
And while all this is happening, because you see so many members on that top side, bot lane gets a chance to all in. They take away that heal from Reckless. You know that set is very happy to trade his flash for summoners. So you have that Hex Flash, such an important summoner. Now it's going to be very similar to game 1. Continue on that pressure top side.
Now they're going to go for it. There's no flash here on the Lorax, but he is a Viego. Very hard to lock him down. One more auto attack, and that's going to be enough. Cabo Shard as well, finding himself in between the minions, but he does not care. All the good things end up washing away.
We literally saw this earlier in the series where it was a good gank from Unicorns, and then they overstay for the push, and it ends up backfiring. Oh, just a big mistake there. It's almost frustrating to see. It's like, I know the importance of getting the push in, but you have to respect 1-1-3.
And if Lin last game, we called out the Syndra as a champion that needs to be ahead, Renekton even more so. We have talked so much about this champion, how badly they do if they're not ahead of the curve. So that's going to be a very, very vital win for Karmine Corp on that top side, and now sitting comfortably, at least with the champions they have, and how they're supposed to be doing in this early game.
Yeah, and I mean, 1-1-3 plays this about as well as you can. Out of vision, land the flag and drag, so Lorax has no chance to avoid it or outplay. And then just closes the distance to get that final auto to finish off. And again, with the Conqueror stacked up, that's why it was that big final slap that took him down. You can see Ibo just trying to clear out the wave, knows his fate.
Now we get to look at Cabo Shard's sword shop as he picks himself up. So a nice little thing.
Long swords on the key.
I love itemization in League of Legends. Do you want a long sword? You want 2, 3?
Yeah.
So is this Graves or is this Talon? He always used to love building those.
I think any real assassin kind of it's like when you're an assassin or anyone who builds lethality, it's like Caulfield's Warhammer or Serrated Dirk or both.
I remember back in the day where you had to build like at least like a BF sword or a pickaxe something, and then you just had occasional champions who'd be like, I build a Brutalizer as back in the day. I can build all the long swords I want, and maybe you wish you had a couple more on Viego.
Yeah, we're going to see Flash in with the gold card, trying to get onto Lorax, and he will fall. Now you have 3 people up in this top lane. You have no Ari to try and do this. As Ibo trying to see if he can just bait someone in again. Very difficult to actually gank this guy, but with this point-and-click CC, it becomes an awful lot easier.
Mission failed. We've been dove in topside. Mission failed.
Oh no, the cleanse and the flash has to be used here by Reptile, but here comes Dreamer Ace to try and maybe turn this one around. Not really the greatest of trades here for the side of Unicorns of Love, and they need to try and figure out what's going on. They're getting a bit too scrappy.
They're just fumbling. Reptile, Arcane chips in, has to flash out again in the top lane. I have to say, it's great play from K-Corp. This is what we want to see from this Jarvan TF, the CC layering, and then Ibo pays for the sins of Lorax there.
So now you're at a point where, again, it seems like the whole series we've had to talk about this early game, and Karmine Corp had maybe a couple of stumbles in earlier games. Last game obviously was not the case, and that Unicorns are really, really struggling to stabilize.
They're going to try and make this one work. Reckless will get hit by the face breaker, but I don't think he's in really any much trouble. Honestly, he can turn this because they have the Destiny Gate. The TF can join the fight. The global pressure is here to stay, and oh my days. Unicorns, you had a good start, but it's all going wrong, and now Dreamer Ace, you must stay underneath this tower, but don't know how long you're going to be able to do it, because Flash comes in. Oh, Sunkar was there. He's able to survive for a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be much longer.
Where's the flag? Oh!
Yeah, he's not. He's going to die eventually. He's not going to be able to get out. I will say his regen's coming back, but it'll take a sweet time to do this. Yeah, there it is. Reckless will pick it up there. Probably the airy proc at the very end of it. But this is now 6-1 in kills, and we're at 7 minutes with a 2,500 gold lead.
And honestly, at that point, Dreamer Ace dying so late, I mean, it's not really a big deal because the respawners timers are so fast, but it just feels like Unicorns are really off-center in this game. They are struggling, and K-Corp have all the tools to just run away with this game.
Speaking of Dreamer Ace dying late, what it does mean is that you're always just perpetually going to be behind Hantera roaming onto the map. It's kind of an it's a lesser seen thing in terms of like actually looking at what's on screen, but whoever gets the back first and bot lane often gets such an ability to turn up top lane, turn up mid lane, secure vision and part of the map. Dreamer Ace just being, again, just put down in that 2v2 means he just can't get into the right position to really try and wrangle back this early game, which they're struggling to find any foothold in.
This is getting rough. We saw this happen in Game 3, the last one there, and this is where Karmine Corp kind of had a bit of fun with the game. They had a bit of a time to kind of run around and make things work, and you can see now Seiken, he puts himself into fog of war just to cover in this top side, because Hantera and 113, they have the priority. They're the ones that are going to be feeling good about going for any of these fights. We go in and flash in, they're going to try and get the Koldameek down, but there's just no real damage there, and now Lorax is in a lot of trouble. They do have the ultimate available to 113 as he goes in there with the Cataclysm. They're going to try and make this one work for them. True Shot Barrage absolutely misses. Flash in, double kill. 113 looking fantastic on the Jarvan.
And it does feel a little bit characteristic of what's been seen in this series from Unicorns when they haven't really been on the right kind of tempo. They know they want to make a play, but they don't know how to make the play. This is another similar one, just poorly executed.
And I'm just gonna be honest, I felt a bit desperate, right? You see the dash come out from Ivo, Kabashar dashes away, and he's like, no, I am making this happen. We'll see it again, it's like, doesn't manage to connect onto him, and he's like, I am determined to make this play, but there's no way they're gonna get onto him. He has ultimate available to dash out, Lurx is still level 5, and then the squad are there to punish.
And Lurx actually walks into the entire combo while he's charging up his Spectral War. He's just sat, like, yeah, I can get on it. Oh, wait, hang on. That's a lot of damage heading his way. And 113 gets to clear up, just absolutely clean up. And when your lanes are this stable after the first couple of clears, when Grace gets to push in, 113 has the option to keep doing that.
And we look at the Amazon EU Masters as a whole, it's why we had such... The LFL are so scary. It's such a hugely popular region, and for a reason as well, because we look at some of these teams and it's just... You know, Vitality B, LDLC, we got Karmine Corp. These guys are just so scary to go against that it is going to be an uphill battle. You're regional pride or not, as you can see now, flash forward, they're going to try and make this one work, but the minions are in the way, so the charm is not going to land. Seiken should be able to get out with his life, and then they can lock in another gold card, and oh my god, Nightmare! Do I have to watch?
You do, you have to. You need not follow, but you must witness, and Lurk's going to have that force. Away from two. It is, again, as Orc said, it just seems desperate. Just seems like they're not quite sure on how they want to execute on the areas of the map they commit to.
I feel like last game, there was a charm to it. They're still giving their all despite being behind.
Ironic, considering Ruby's champion.
So overforced. It feels like they're not really thinking too much about the windows. They're just trying to, they see champion, they're trying to kill champion, and they're so far behind, it's rough. And I mean, this top jungle, 0-3-0 on a Renekton, 1-4 on a Viego. They're just never going to be relevant. I mean, the Viego at least will be able to steal away champs if they get a kill. There's that aspect to it, but Renekton will never be relevant this game.
So, the point which I normally talk about Renekton is actually around First Herald. First Herald is where you kind of peak as a champion because, as you said, you don't have the same 2 hyper spikes anymore. This is now the last point you're going to be relevant. You're already getting run around by this Graves. You don't have a flash, and Karmine Corp, they don't commit to this fight. What's the value you're going to get out of this champion? You've already fallen behind so hilariously far in this meant to be topside dominant champion. It's just not worked out.
But I'll say Unicorns do manage to get the Herald uncontested. Feels like K-Corp just not really in position on the map to deal with that one, but they're just going to look for some more picks off the back of this. 1-3 though.
He loses, yeah. 1-3 finds the smite down. They're going to get the knock up. He's going to take this fight because he's got a Gore Drinker.
Oh no.
Oh,
and that is a dead Viego. Gore Drinker versus a little bit of a scrap shop, and they're just losing everywhere.
And it's also one of your few remaining playmaking tools gone in that Ari Flash. You don't have that extra ability to close that get distance and CC chain, and Karmine Corp really is taking a lot of wins which have been handed to them now.
Like, I feel like invading the enemy blue, isolated, when the enemy mid is moving, typically isn't a good play, but it doesn't matter when you're this far ahead. Like, you have Seiken just pushing in the mid lane, taking plates, and he's like, yeah, you're fine, bro, you've got this.
And for someone who has had a lot of flag thrown their way because there are so many eyes on Karmine Corp, 1-1-3 this series has actually been a real force to be reckoned with. See what he's doing with his lead 6-0-2, much like his Volibear against, leading from the front and seriously putting the hurt onto the Unicorns.
It's just, again, we're kind of at a point now, similar to last game, where you have to be a bit more opportunistic. You're not... And the worst thing I would say, actually, for Unicorns of Love is that you don't have a massively scaling AD carry that can take over games. You had the Jinx last time, and now you don't have it. But the gold card lands, as Seiken just kind of runs himself away. They miss the charm. Flag and drag in as Ruby has to Spirit Dash himself out, and this is so disconnected, and it just feels like Karmine Corp, they can get away with murder because Unicorns of Love just seems so uncoordinated.
They don't even burn Seiken's flash.
No.
I think that's kind of the story of that. In the meantime, Kabashar is just pushing top. He'll get that tower. That's the thing, is like, if they had to go for a big considered effort, I'd be like, fair play, but K-Corp are just getting everything they want, and it feels like they're not even out of first gear.
This is truly, really an anti-snowball. I mean, even with stuff like your Ari, you're not even going for high amounts of damage. You're going for cooldown boots. It's not like you got any magic hand there. And maybe he can find something. But Seiken he's got flash still. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's got to even go to jungler there too as well to try and help him out. Lorax is kind of saying, look, I can't really help you here, Dreamer Ace. And they're going to wait for his Haymaker to lose the shield so they know they can take him out. 1-1-3 just breaking ankles right now. The Destiny Gate is there. The gold card is locked. They won't be able to get the kill onto Ruby, but there's nothing else he can really do. He's sitting here like a duck just waiting to be shot.
And oh my gosh. It's visceral, it's brutal, but it's what's happening in this game.
It is what's happening in this game. Hantara gets in on the action, and this is K-Corp. This is Amazon EU Masters K-Corp. This is the guys who have won back-to-back, looking to make it a three-peat.
Only team who have won more than one EU Masters. The fact it's been 2 in a row. Oh, Hantara.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Spider knows his way out. But you know, no, Ox is completely right. Again, this is a team with so much prestige, so much pedigree, and I was not a believer at the start of this tournament. I watched them in the play-ins, watched them in the group stage, and I thought there were really noticeable flaws. But there was always that question mark, always that ability to say, look, they
have the caliber of players.
Yeah, they have the caliber of players, and they have that history. The occasion calls for them.
No.
Adding insult to injury. And Karmine, again, they're just so sublime when they're in the lead.
I feel like every time I look at the screen, Unicorns just take another L. Every single time I look at the screen, something bad happens. And even there's a split second where I'm like, oh, nope. They end up losing that again. That was the the dredge line coming out from Hantara to get him away. That's the Reptile getting destroyed. It just constantly feels like Unicorns are losing out in these plays.
And that's on Gromp.
Because they are.
Yeah, that is on Gromp.
That's on Gromp. That's just how it is. And honestly, it is fantastic to see, and it does set up a fantastic setup for, again, I feel like I'm counting out Unicorns of Love because they are so far behind at this point. 113, 10,000 gold, nearly, just 9,000 gold.
If they bring it back, then everyone can say, oh, look at those dumb casters.
Honestly, I'll take that. I will take that L.
There is a point where it's almost disingenuous to say, oh, there's a route back into this, because when you're this far behind, it shouldn't be expected. It absolutely should not be on the cards. And if Unicorns do manage to find some comebacks, maybe they can get themselves some shutdowns, some objective values. Yeah, they definitely help.
It's not
you have to do
impossible,
that.
yeah.
No, but no game is impossible to come back from. But there is a realistic point where you just have to say it ain't happening in any realistic scenario.
These are professionals. These are, players that know how to close out games with leads. They know what they need to do and where they need to do it. And right now, Karmine Corp, they know how monstrously ahead they are, and they can just push into any lane possible. They're going to choose Aibo because they know that this Renekton can't do anything. He can't do squat. They can give that to whoever they want, and they can Spider-Man their way away.
14-1 over, well, just about 10,000 gold ahead. Dreamer is next on the menu, potentially.
Yeah, he's 4 levels down as he tries to get himself. That's the first ultimate he's had all game, but he's going to be stunned up, locked down. Oh, at least Reptile hasn't died.
That's fun, okay?
Yet. Wait. They're looking for him. Yeah, they're looking for him. They tried to go for him. They just heard me talking smack. And they finally get him in. Seiken, though, will burn his flash, or burn the flash of Reptile to get him away. Now Reptile's thinking about it. And maybe he goes for a little bit of a cheeky kill. And looks like Karmine Corp, they're having a bit of fun. They finally take down the perfect record. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 trade. It's Unicorns. You got to hope for maybe 50 more of those.
That's good gold onto good people, right? Particularly onto the Ezreal, getting yourself up to 2-3 items. Maybe there's a point after that where Ezreal becomes very slippery and they over-engage into him. It's just, again, this is opening up the threads just a little bit. Again, it's so hard to really talk about a comeback when Karmine Corp have such a reputation for fighting from ahead and such a reputation and so much gold to work with.
But it's moments like that, right? And I think we saw a little bit of that last game where K-Corp were massively ahead, but they were a bit over-aggressive, made some mistakes, and gold went back in return. I'm not going to sit here and pretend
and then ended 2 minutes later.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Unicorns are in a good spot to win this game, but they need more picks like that. And particularly with the Viego, when you steal an enemy champion, you get to play as the Fed champion. So that's
true, actually. That's very true.
I didn't really get to do that this fight, though, because Set is a really cool playmaker when you can start finding these awkward angles and trying to catch people out of position, but you're going through an absolute minefield division from Karmine Corp, who've pushed in every single lane, and while during this you do get an objective bounty from the Unicorns, it was still a very difficult match day for them, but they, at the end of the day, they still managed to pick up the slight advantage, which is thrown to them by Game4, and even with that, Reckless still picks up a kill.
And now I feel like we kind of hit the point where we're going to have the Man Immune stacked up for Reckless soon. We're going to have the Rapid Fire Cannon for Forsaken soon. And we have this like huge lethality spike from Cabochard. This is where you're sort of hitting critical mass in terms of items from K-Corp. They've already been taking over the game. It just gets even more extreme once those are secured. And I feel like that is just their signal to keep pushing the momentum and look to take even more structures. This mid-tier 2 is just going to go down.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it. And as we kind of look towards what looks like Game4 going into the semi-finals, we got to think about who they'd be going up against. Of course, tomorrow we do have Vitality B of the LFL going up against the last representative of the Superliga in Fnatic TQ. I mean, this feels like it's kind of, it feels like it's the LFL show at this time, a repeat of the playoffs. So Fnatic, they got to try and do something crazy there in order to try and, like, mess up the pack.
I mean, Fnatic, Team Queso were definitely one of our pre-tournament favorites up there with LDLC. Actually, there was an interview with LDLC's coach. I can't remember who the interview was with. I'm sorry, I would have shouted that out if I could remember it. But they said that Team Queso was really the only team which really gave them thought, really gave them troubles. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of hold themselves to a high enough standard to actually get to those finals. It's not an easy path, though. You have to go through the winner of the series, which is looking likely to be Game4. Or, of course, get through your own quarterfinal of Vitality B, which, of course, another LFL team, and no French team is weak.
LFL teams all the way down, honestly.
It's literally like the LCK of Europe. It's just like 3 teams in the semi-finals if they do end up winning today and, of course, tomorrow. So we'll wait to see if the LFL's dominance does continue, but of course we still have a job to do today. And Game4, they look like they've calmed down a little bit. They've kind of said, okay, we were getting a bit too hypey. We don't need to go too far forward. We know we're far ahead. We can just pick up objectives.
This is the reality of a game without Baron just yet. 30 seconds till that one spawns. It's hard to break open the base unless you have serious dive comps. You can punish people from standing under towers for even just the even into very early into the game. But this one, they've taken basically all the structures which have been freely given to them. They have themselves Dragon Capricorn 20. You would imagine that would be uncontested. But as soon as that Baron comes up, you assume that Unicorns are going to be finally drawn out of their shell, out of the base, and forced to fight.
And normally at this point in the game, I would turn to my analysts and say, how do Unicorns? And you know what? I'm not going to give you guys that loaded gun because it is really not going to be a good answer. Because
I think you would actually get more value out. You know how we started with like the wildlife trip across the rift? Maybe we could get like more of the floral displays, the ocean rift, talk about the flowers. So we just ignore everything that's happening with the Gold League right now.
Well, okay. A little bit
Nothing
of
to see. Look at this flower. Isn't that beautiful?
Do you like the Ocean Rift? I think Hextech Rift probably my favorite.
You do love Hex Gates.
Yeah, I think Hex Gates are hilarious. I've seen some unique usage of them.
Remember Chem Rift?
So to say, I lived in London for a while. That one reminded me of home.
I didn't. Oh, wow. That says a lot about your home. But yeah, I think we talked about this a while ago. It was just really funny to me seeing a Hex Rift be so universally loved and Chem Rift be so universally hated. No one was in love with that particular one.
It's like that Simpsons clip of the 2 lambs. Like, no, get out of the camera. This is the one we like.
No, screw you. We don't need to look at you anymore. But it's just going to be a slow, methodical, bit by bit.
3 items.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's gonna be tough. You do have some opportunities, but you are at the beck and mercy of K-Corp, getting over aggressive, being isolated, looking for something a bit that's maybe not there, and maybe, just maybe, you get some resets on your Ari and your Viego.
Well, let's keep that in mind. They are looking to set up for the Baron, establish some deeper vision here, potentially fish for some picks. They do have Sake in the side lane, who obviously with TP and the ult can join quite easily. And it looks like they're just going to start up. They are pretty tired of being in this game with this much of a goal lead and will look to try and close this one out with the Baron. So it's on Unicorns to try and contest.
So Dream Race does have Flash. If you group up in the pit, there is a chance of Set doing something miraculous. As it happens, though, Ibo not going to be able to cancel that TP. It's a 5v4 in favor of Game4 currently.
Gotta be careful right now, because the TP's going to be coming in. They're going to get Reckless the flash away. There's a good face breaker, though, and they get him right on top of the back line, but those feathers do so much damage. It was a valiant effort, but you're just too far behind. There's nothing nothing to be done. Carmine Corp will wipe up these kills, and honestly, what else are you going to try and do? We will see a good charm here onto Cabo Shard as they try and burst down onto him. He's actually taken very low, and a massive shutdown goes over. Seiken gets the stun card down. 113 rejoins the fight. They flash in to get the charm. Triple kill for Ibo. It's better late than never, Ox.
I mean, I feel like Reckless forgot there was a fight going on. He just left to go farm mid and then Raptors while the fight was still going, and he lets Ibo get this huge triple. We were talking about, it felt like there was no hope. Well, yeah, if you do that, it will give the enemy side some hope.
And again, you talk about the valiant effort. The effort for me was entirely spearheaded by Dream Race on the set with the flash, able to make an absolute mess of that team fight. Basically, him alone with a little bit over the top damage took Reckless down to a very low amount of HP. Maybe after that point, it's like, yeah, I've got the Eclipse, I'll go heal out elsewhere. But there has to be communication after that point to say, I'm leaving the fight. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a good fight. Like, we get the initial engage from Unicorns versus Stella, but it's the fact that they regroup for their own jungle to try and find their way out of the skirmish. And I guess Reckless was low enough that he needed to stay up.
But you got to communicate that, then.
I mean, I feel like that's... He probably would have said, guys, I'm going to try and heal up. And the rest of the team were like, okay, we're good. We'll keep going.
Yeah, well, Dreamer Ace is dead because he got caught out. Fight. Yeah, that's for the last team fight for getting smacked down on my team. But now you don't have that engage that we talked about, and it looks like Carmine Corp might just go straight back towards this Baron. There is a ward in the back of the pit, and more gold is going over. It was a 10,000 gold lead, it's now a 7,000 gold lead. They are starting to take down this Baron. TP is not available for Ibo, so it would be a 3v4. Hantera playing bodyguard. You don't have to go home low, but you can't stay here. They do take 2 turrets off of this. There's a true shot barrage. I almost thought it was going to happen. And yeah,
TFO.
I mean, he gets over the wall, so I don't know if they're going to be able to take him down super quickly. And this is just going to waste a lot of the Baron time. And they're taking a lot of turrets here.
Oh, and that's a lot of objective bounties with it. I mean, they took, what, mid lane out of turrets, 2 turrets in bot lane. Yeah, you're going to lose your jungler, but even with this, he's taken, what, an extra 20, 30 seconds to die? That's time away from the Baron buff.
Lurk's already had 7 deaths. He can take another.
Ruby, he is going to be able to trade back with Seiken and get himself over the wall with the Spirit Rush, and they should be able to keep him relatively safe. Hantera Spider-Manning himself over, but you got the Baron. Now what can you do with it here? As Casey, they still got to be respectful of this damage. This is a 2-item Ahri.
It is, and it has the Shadow Flames, so some magic pen. And it's just, it's so difficult to 100-0 someone, especially if it's the Xayah. If you don't kill them, they pop ult, they probably just kill you afterwards. It's just, gotta have some damage on that. Cabo Shard.
They gotta make a decision. There's recalls coming in. They could actually just kill him off and take away the dragon. They're gonna be able to jump straight on top of him. There is a blast cone there. They're gonna try and jump and burst him down. They should be able to get him. Oh lordy, we're starting to see mistakes. There's cracks in the blue wall.
And ultimately, K-Corp have so much AD damage. It's a Frozen Heart, Twisted Fate going for the ability haste for more stun cards. Very little magic damage. This one actually with the Death Stance is actually becoming more relevant at this point of the game.
So that's the teleport, that's the Ahri, get another needlessly large rod, has a couple of Dark Seal stacks. I mean, somehow, it's not completely out of the question just yet.
Dreamer Ace was looking for an engage, a hero setup. Dragon does go over to Carmine Corp, but they've wasted an awful lot of time on this Baron. There's not really a lot left to it.
And considering how doom and gloom we were earlier in the game, and rightfully so, this game looked dead to rights. Unicorns have found a lot of picks in side lanes. They've found a lot of objective bounties. The gold isn't 10k anymore. It's actually significantly less, and there's more gold in the game. It means less as the game goes on. Now, of course, this game is still going to be very difficult. You're facing off against the Baron buff. A lot of members grouped up from Carmine Corp. They've got to survive the siege before we can talk about any next stage of the comeback.
Yeah, well, they lose their mid-lane inhibitor turret as that Xayah is on 4 items right now. You got the Sorelda's Gudge, you've got the Chemtech sword, Punk sword, what is it called? Chempunk sword?
Chempunk Chainsword?
Chempunk Chainsword, that's what it is. I feel like the people who name items in League of Legends dislike play-by-plays.
It's like in the grim darkness of League of Legends, there is only Chemtech. That one's a fun one. It's just another item on top of just such an absolute megazord of power of which Reckless has built up in his inventory, though. It's just, you walk towards that Xayah and you are not very happy. You need to find a way to fight away from that champion.
Yeah, I mean, a combo will just decimate. The problem is you have, you know, 3 melee champions on the side of Unicorns, you want to be able to get on top of him. The ult will just do so much damage. They did poke him out there, but he can sustain up with the Eclipse.
That is a lot.
They know exactly where he is. They know exactly where he is. They're just going to go for the tower. They're saying, look, we don't care. We're not going to fight you. Flash in from Seiken. He does get the gold card down at the flash and dash. Comes in here from Reptile. Has to get himself away. They're coming. He's still looking for it. They are going to get 1-1-3 going into stasis. He's a little bit far forward. There's the collateral damage coming out. It's a bit of a scrappy one. Ibo now on the backside of this. There's going to be the showstopper. Reckless is on the backside. He gets the feathers down, but that's going to be 1-1-3 dying. Their Hanter involves as well. Ibo did his job. It's a 2-for-1, but your health bars aren't really there. The carries are still pushing forward, and KC are still healthy.
And those hard-earned kills didn't get any resets because Lurix wasn't involved in them. No Viego resets, no ability to follow just on further, but they stay alive, importantly.
Ooh, it's so dangerous. Karmine Corp, they are taking away a lot of damage, and that's Sorelda's Grudge going to slow down Cabo Shard. You have got damage, but your health bars are very, very low. And Ox, this is starting to get a bit spicy.
I'm sorry, that was just a hilarious flag coming in. Like, such a massive passage of time before he got there. And you can see K-Corp, they're aware that he's coming, so they're trying to force things, trying to force the agency. Unicorns do a good job of disengaging, but even so, it still takes such an extended amount of time. And then when they do finally jump onto Reckless, he has this great ult to dodge away from the CC, and then uses the flash to reposition, and the feathers just shred through.
Also, Dreamer is cancelling out the flag drag, just locking the Jarvan further forward than he wanted to be. Really good pickoff. Finds the opportunity to make a mess of that fight.
And I will say, Unicorns, similar to last game, despite the deficit, are determined to keep this one going. They do not want to be knocked out.
They're not just bleeding out, they're making sure that they're at least committing to the game, finding some way to try and be relevant. Again, it's just the hardest of situations. They found that in a couple of games back-to-back now. Job's not quite done. They've got a lot more ground to cover if they want to try and take this to a game 5.
Minute till Baron spawns, minute 30 until Ocean Soul for Karmine Corp. It is still a 7,000 gold lead coming in here for Karmine Corp, but like you mentioned, Nymera, that becomes less and less relevant the longer the game goes on. Let's have a look at some of the items. You have a 3.5 item Ezreal, you got 3.5 items under your Renekton. It's not amazing, obviously, on the Renekton. You are waiting for Ruby to get that death cap. As he tries to put a death sentence there onto the Seiken, who had got a cleanse going to himself. Dreamer 8 takes a lot of damage as Ruby finds himself on the bad end of a shotgun, and that's going to be the inhibitor taken down. That's your pick potential, and they have to go for something here, Ox.
Yeah, they have to try and make a play, look for a reset. Only 1-1-3 is low.
Oh, they're going to go in. Reckless doesn't have flash, but he does have his feathers. A Seiken almost taken down, but he's got himself his ultimate to get himself back to safety. It's on to Reptile. He needs to be the one to put down the damage as Pantera goes down. No resets available. Reptile not quite able to make it work. And after all is said and done, the wallet is too big. The damage has been done. Karmine looking to make it 3-1.
And they looked for something, but it stared right back at them. Karmine Corp looking to seal out the series.
Ari spawning in 8, but it's up to Lurix. He's getting decimated. He's gone.
He's gone. Blink and you'll miss it. It was an entertaining series, but Karmine Corp are looking to make history to define their legacy as the only 3P champions of the Amazon EU Masters.
Nexus falls, and again, this is a team which we have seen develop. This was a team which I honestly had a lot of criticism for earlier into the LFL, into this tournament as well. But they have continued to iterate, to adapt, to solve their early game, continue to start meshing more. They are here to play, and they're here for another chance.